Hello and welcome to the Cisco SecureX update. This is the April 2021 edition. My name is Ben Greenbaum, and today we are covering versions 1.69 and 1.70 of Cisco SecureX and talking about what is new and improved recently. The first thing we're going to cover is some new response workflows that have been made available in Orchestration. Then we're going to talk about some sightings timeline changes in threat response. And lastly, we're going to wrap it up with some third-party integration news, namely that the relay servers for supported third-party integrations are now hosted in SecureX infrastructure. But let's dive in first with those response workflows in SecureX Orchestration. Now we have these three new workflows. One of them adds an IP address into your umbrella destination lists. You can support multiple destination lists by simply making copies of this workflow and configuring them for the different lists that you want to support. We've got a workflow for requesting firewall null routes in ServiceNow change request tickets. And then we've got another one for enabling blocks on Meraki MXL3 firewalls. All of these are response workflows, and you can see them here in your SecureX Orchestration dashboard once you have imported them. And then once you've done that, you can see them in the menu that you get when you pivot on various observables in SecureX Threat Response. And every time you mouse over one of them, you get the help text on the right telling you exactly what it is that it's going to do. Let's now talk about threat response and the changes that have been made to the sightings timeline. Now, if you've used threat response lately, you've probably noticed that the sightings timeline looks quite a bit different. We've moved from a line graph to a stacked bar chart, and each one of these bars is a bucket of time, and the bars show you the dispositions of the observables that were in sightings from your investigation during that time period, as well as the number of times that a target was seen in those sightings. And if you click any of those bars, you then get a pop-up with more information about the precise times of the sightings, the disposition and the details of each of the observables seen, as well as the target identification. And then if you click any of those items, you see then if you have sync turned on in the panels, your graph and your investigations detail will focus on that item behind the little pop-up there. Just another way to get better, more intuitive insight into what's going on with the observables in your investigation as they've been detected both globally and in your network. And the third and final thing on the list that we're going to talk about is third-party integrations and the Cisco hosting of supported relay servers. And to explain why this is a big deal, we're going to have to go into a little bit of theory, but the purpose is that we are simplifying the deployment of third-party integrations in SecureX for those third-party integrations that are officially supported. So the third-party modules that are provided for you are going to be configured, and many of them are already configured in the same way as you would any Cisco product. You just put in your user credentials, your API keys. You don't need to deploy any code in your environment. And the reason that that's even a factor is that there is code involved, of course, and we have these relay servers that are what the relay modules talk to. And the relay servers handle the translation from the third-party data model and the third-party APIs to the Cisco Threat Intelligence data model and the SecureX APIs. And that is code that performs that function, and that code has to live somewhere so that the modules can talk to it. You see here a graphic of some of the supported third-party relay modules. The relay servers themselves can live in a number of different places. They can live in the customer cloud, so the customers can deploy their own relay servers in AWS or in Azure or somewhere else. They can live in the customer DMZ. They can be deployed locally into the customer network on bare iron or in a local VM or similar. And in some of our integrations, the partner, the provider of the third-party technology, actually hosts that relay server for their customers. And the module simply has to be configured to point to the URL of where the customer has put that relay server. Some of the steps involved in installing one of these things using the default AWS Lambda example is that you download the server code from GitHub, you configure your AWS environment, you prepare your Python environment, you edit the local configuration files for that code that you downloaded that then launches, when you run it, the API into AWS Lambda serverless architecture, and then you configure your module settings in SecureX. We are hosting these relays so that you don't have to find a place to host it and do the work of putting it there. You don't have to do any of those things anymore. All you've got to do is configure those module settings in SecureX just like you would for any other module, and you're then done. So where do these relay servers live? Well, the first three options are still available, and you can still, in fact, write your own relay server code if you want to and deploy it wherever you want to and use a generic stub module to connect to that. But for Cisco SecureX provided third-party integration modules, they are now hosted in SecureX, and it's not a thing that you have to worry about. And this is what it looks like. And we're going to take the abuse IP database as an example because it's first. So over here in the left panel on the dashboard, I'm going to click Add directly from that panel. And then I paste in my API key and click Save. And that's it. It's done. And then now if I do an investigation on something that is listed in the abuse IP database, I'm going to get results from that module. So we see here, I've got results from Cisco hosted abuse IP database as well as Talos Intelligence. If I look at the judgments available on this IP address that I've investigated, I get many entries from that abuse IP database IP checker module. If I look at verdicts, I get a verdict from it. If I look at sightings, I get a number of sightings from it. And if I want to look at those sightings, I can click this link and it takes me straight to the abuse IP database website where I see the entry for that IP address and everything that abuse IPDB is publishing about that. So you saw how little time that took, and that's just one of dozens of modules that we're in the process of moving into Cisco hosting. Now you may, by the time you check this out, see a much longer list of modules that start with this Cisco hosted label that tells you that all you're going to have to do is click it and enter your API key, and in some cases not even that, and hit save, and then you're done. You've just added another free source, in this case, of threat intelligence to your Cisco SecureX experience. And that wraps it up. As usual, I'm going to leave you with some resources you can use to learn more. You can read about those workflows and all the other workflows, as well as atomics and just general information about SecureX orchestration at the SecureX orchestration documentation repo at cs.co/sxo_docs. Capitalization counts. You can also see more videos about SecureX orchestration specifically at cs.co/sxo_videos. You can see a series of videos about third-party integrations and relay modules and relay servers, etc. at cs.co/SecureX_third_party_videos. And stay tuned for more content about the hosted relays coming to that playlist soon. And then you can check out the update videos, the rest of the videos in this series at cs.co/SecureX_update_videos. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, as always, you can find full descriptions of all new features, changed features, updates, upgrades, etc. in the release notes in the user interface of SecureX itself. As always, thank you very much for your time, your attention, and your interest in SecureX, and I wish you every success using it to increase and improve your security outcomes. Thanks again.